Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for...
I told him when I come back, we're going swimming. So, tell everybody thank you, Kirill. Скажи, дякую.
Дякую.
Не, английский.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, что? Very much. Еще раз.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Future president of Ukraine right here. All right. Good evening, everyone. It is 10:36 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I want to go straight to me and Professor Gertis because this is a co-stream, and we're pushing it out to both channels. And I am not dressed like this because this is how I run around at 10:30 at night, unless I'm on the front. But I am dressed like this because we've got great news tonight that we're going to share with you. So, good afternoon, Prof.
Yeah, good afternoon. Well, good evening to you, I guess.
It is a great evening.
So it's been so long that it's almost hard to believe that we're actually to this. So I know you want to talk about it because you're basically about to burst from the seams. So you talk and I'll just add a little bit here and there.
Well, let's do this. Thank you, everybody, for being here on my channel, Professor Gertis's channel. Thank you for your support, liking, commenting, sharing. On my channel, finally, our great mod team, we finally got the Discord link fixed, and that Discord is growing like crazy. So please visit the descriptions of Professor Gertis's channel, my channel, and thank you for being a part. Here we go. Let's start right there. This is the actual picture. And I posted these in Discord yesterday or last night late. This is a sample of one of our armored vehicles. We have 4 coming. And I was a couple of hours ago in a meeting and Zhenya told me, he says, Greg, be dressed. We could leave any minute now. Folks, we could literally be leaving before we finish this stream. So, Prof, there it is, and I'll explain why we could be leaving at any moment now. But how does that make you feel? That's one of our vehicles inside one of our trucks.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that that's actually happening. It's like it's become reality. And who would have known back in, well, by the time we actually started at Christmas, and then that was a different fundraiser, and then a little bit later we concocted this plan, and so this would have been about February, March, and it grinds slow, but it's here.
Well,
almost here. You're picking it up. So
the reason it grinds slow is we've tried to explain to people these are military vehicles. These are armored, the real deals. It's not like just a donation of a vehicle from one nonprofit to the Army or to another. All of that is needed, but this is a whole different ball of wax. This is going to turn out being about a $300,000 project that all of you guys have donated to earlier in the year, and now you're going to see the fruit of your labors. Now, I will tell you this, and then I will explain why I'm dressed. Today, I knew this was unfolding, and I started looking through some of my video files, and I literally, Prof, found the video where Pete is crying, and he says, Professor Gertis and Greg, thank you for jumping on this project. Now, I'm not showing that video tonight, but I am getting permission. I'm asking for permission. And I know I'll get it, but from Pete's mother, Ma Rose, his sister, and his brother. And I want to be respectful because I have all of the video where Pete's asking for these vehicles. He's so excited about the vehicles. And I saw in the chat where people were saying, I just wish Pete would have been able to see it. Guys, Pete's going to see it. I promise you. So what actually is happening right now is they're on the border. And we have to meet these trucks at the drop. These are tractor trailers bringing these in. All the customs, all the border work, all the transfers is done. If I could describe to you guys the level of work that Zhenya and his administrative team have done over the last 3 or 4 days, it would be mind-boggling. Books of paperwork. And I know you say, well, it's just dumb. It's a war. Well, for me, it's dumb. It's a war. But it's what we have to deal with here. But I can tell you, it's all done. And what happens is where these trucks are crossing the border, and I will not say the border crossing, but we will meet them in Lviv. We have a drop location. We have a team of 5 guys. One of our guys will be driving 3 of us to Lviv. Drop us will be driving. And a very good friend of mine who is a soldier in the Ukrainian army. He's a trainer. I've known him forever. You will see him on stream whenever we're doing this and picking them up, because you guys are going to see everything. He's meeting us there. And then the 4 of us will convoy these vehicles from Lviv to our base city. And this is all public. Khmelnytsky, where our team is ready to install the latest and greatest drone jammers, drone detectors, winches, fill them with the supplies, and we have the stenciling where we're saying thank you to the world, naming the trucks, of course, for sure. Pete's name's going to be on these trucks somewhere, and hasta la vista and all of that. So, and guys, we're going to show you everything, all the footage, take a tour of them. And I will tell you this now, where we are dropping one of these trucks on the southern front, I'm going to go on a medical evacuation with the guys and record it all. And you guys will actually ride in the vehicle going on a medevac run. So we just want to say thank you. And this is great news. Great news.
Now, you be careful with that kind of thing, because doing more of this is important. Don't you take unnecessary risks in the process.
Don't worry. I won't. But so I was down there a few days ago, and we were doing the final paperwork, meeting with the commanders, and additionally, all of that paperwork's done. Guys, we're green light. We're green light. That's why I'm dressed. I'm waiting for a phone call to run out the door. Yes, in the middle of the night and go to Lviv. I was down there with these guys, and they said, Greg, let's go. We got a guy we got to go get. And I looked at their vehicle, and I said, do you have armor on your vehicle? Well, no. That's why you're giving us one. I said, how about we wait and I ride on a medevac in my vehicle? And he goes, that's a good plan. So, of course, we'll take no unnecessary risk, but that's the good news. Anything else you want to say about that? Because there are some other pieces of good news and some updates we need to give. tonight.
I know that they wouldn't appreciate this probably, but the biggest donors were the ones who were like, "Hey, you want to name one or something like that?" And they were like, "No, just we love you, Ukraine," or something. So from your friends in the U.S., like,
Yes.
man, those people are freaking awesome. Like, I mean, we're talking
Yeah.
big donors, like tens of thousands of dollars, kind of big
We
donors. Like,
had in this project some very large donors, and I know from an email I saw today with Professor Gertis, we were chatting, and it was like, okay, what do we need to do else? And then another big donor who just wants to be anonymous, and we're talking big guys, because this is a
yeah.
big project. But that's okay. People have different resources. It doesn't matter if you have the ability to give $1 or 50,000 or 100,000. Thank you. Everybody is
But
equal in this.
just the humility that was there,
Yeah.
and that their whole thing, it wasn't like I have to have my name on whatever. It was more of a just like let's
Nope.
go get that thing, and it's from the United States or from wherever. Like your friends here, like,
Yeah.
okay, they want to just say we wish you well, and that was just awesome to see. Like what
It is
awesome human
awesome,
beings.
and we want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to iBag M for gifting a membership. Dunk on You 23, one of my mods, in a meeting where I have to participate, Slava Ukraini. So I know he has the volume muted, but he's here. Dunk on You gifting 10 memberships. Thank you, brother. Petra Olsen, our non-smoking campaign out of Sweden. Thank you for your love to Ukraine. And Richard Bennett gifting 5 memberships. Thank you. And I remind you guys, make sure, visit the descriptions on both of our channels and get involved. Discords, whatever. Thank you. Everything's working now. I will tell you, Zhenya is in the chat and my wife is in the chat. Check this out. Hi, my husband. You looking sharp.
That's not me. I look like Santa Claus, so it's got to be you.
How about Professor Gertis? He's looking smart and I'm looking sharp. So we've got it covered. Okay, let's go to it with some other really good news here, Prof. Right here, Pokrovsk, last 48 hours has stabilized. I know we did a deep dive on that, and I'm still expecting through the month of September it to be extremely difficult there. But we tell you the truth here all the time. Last 48 hours, we've had good stabilization in Pokrovsk, and we'll take it. We'll absolutely take it.
Yeah, I mean, any way that they can possibly hold on until it's muddy, the cold can't come and the mud can't come fast enough.
Correct.
That's
But
right.
really good news there. So, guys, Pokrovsk, last 48, and we'll keep you updated. Zhenya and I will be back in Pokrovsk imminently. More good news. Germany, 17 RST air defense systems for Ukraine. 4 by the end of this year, 2 short range and 2 medium range. 13 additional deliveries through 2026. And I know it seems like a long time, and it is, but at least they're coming. We need them yesterday, but they're coming, and coming out tonight, just about an hour ago. Oh, that's pretty good, Barton. I'll go back to that. Sorry, that blue ring is a force field. Okay, that's good. We got Star Wars going on. Tomorrow, President Zelenskyy will be meeting with Schultz at the Ramstein personally. So,
Yeah.
hey, we got enough chaos going on between Russian politics, American politics, propaganda. We're not talking about any
Social
of
media influencers, not
social
just
media
trolls. Like that's the
influencers.
way that they're doing it now. It's. I got to give it to them. That's very clever the way that they've innovated and upgraded their trolling campaign by using real human beings, whether they know it or not, in order to spread the message they want to spread. It's very clever.
It is very clever, but I've shared
I mean,
this.
I don't like it or anything.
Well,
but
I've
it's
shared
very
this from
clever.
day one, and I will always share it. They are the greatest propaganda machine in the world. They've been doing this for decades and decades and decades. And finally, some folks are starting to crack it open, and it's a positive thing. Now, I know that when I stream with Professor Gertis, sometimes he goes professor on me. And I figured that you would ask me a question tonight. Okay, Greg, so what is the range of a short range and the medium range? I'm glad you asked that with the homework there.
I didn't. I corrected your grammar yesterday.
You did correct my grammar. Guys, you do not understand the pressure it is to partner with a professor. Although there are times where he reminds me of Jerry Lewis, the Nutty Professor, but we won't go there right now. So, in case you guys are wondering, Ukraine is not getting the long-range version of the Iris, which has a range of 80 kilometers and 30-kilometer altitude range. They are getting short range and medium range. The short range has a range of 12 kilometers and 8 miles or so, 7-8 miles. And the medium range they're getting has a range of 40 kilometers. So, hey, we'll take it, every bit of air defense that we can get.
Something beats nothing.
You got that right. I told you guys that when they completed the Poltava search and rescue that we would give you the final numbers, and tonight they just came out officially from Ukraine, and this is just sad. I will give you some further details now. There were 700.
So the wounded is what really elevated, because it was like 40 dead and 180 wounded. So that went to 328. Wow. That's a big thing. There was a lot of guys recovered from the rubble that were wounded but survived. 55 were killed, 328 were wounded. I do have a few more 100% accurate details right now. There were 700 trainees, cadets, staff there at the building. So out of 700, you have 55 dead and 328 wounded. The soldiers were 100% not on a parade. Not. There were some in a bunker. There were some in class. And there were others that were rotating to the bunker. But unfortunately, the pathway to the bunker, they had to go outside. And when they went outside was the moment of the strike, or the first strike. And then, of course, the second came. Additionally, we tell you the truth here. And this is something that our communities, Prof. Gertis, mine, others, all partnering together, we do. Some of the 55 that died should not have died. They died because of lack of proper medical supplies, including very bad. Thing shouldn't have happened to begin with.
It shouldn't have happened to begin with.
OPSEC.
Well, correct.
Right.
Correct.
So, there's one issue cascading into another. They wouldn't have thought to have had that in place because they didn't think that So it was a cascade of bad events.
Operational security was a failure. We already know that. The good news, there's no good news, but at least they were not on parade. But additionally, where we can help, and that is with proper medical supplies and proper tourniquets. There was a critical failure. They basically had nothing but the Chinese tourniquets, and they failed. They fail. You start to crank those Chinese tourniquets down, and they just rip. It is not a Cat 7. Through us, through partnering with Professor Gertis and others, we only deliver genuine Cat 7s.
Go ahead.
I have breaking news.
Go ahead.
Zhenya just texted me. I don't have to leave yet, but it's imminent. Our armored vehicles are past Warsaw, rolling right to the border. So he's getting nonstop updates.
So I had a comment in here that said, Jake Bro has proven how quickly promised vehicle can get to Ukraine. If it's promised a day, then it takes longer than 2 months to deliver. Is there a politician involved? Okay, so there's some differences between what you saw with the NAFO thing and what we were doing. NAFO is an awesome organization. I can't say enough good things about it. The organization that's delivering the cars is they do great stuff.
No
But we're
question.
talking about $20,000 vehicles that they just rehab, make sure it's working, and get out so that they have vehicles. They might do a little bit extra to it. Greg, explain the difference between what these things are and what those are, because there's a world of difference. And so we started this in what, February, March?
It was March, and it was 46 days we raised all the money.
Yeah.
Something
So
like
by
that.
April, not later than May. So that's May, June, July, August. So 4.5 months for a totally different product.
Correct.
Right? Explain the difference between this and a NAFO truck.
Well, a NAFO truck you did a great job. These are a mass group of the NAFO fellows. They do an amazing job getting the vehicles to the front. They are basically, Nissan Navaras, Ford trucks, Cherokees, Jeep Cherokees, all of these different types of vehicles they find in Europe. And through the NAFO project, they coordinate with a local group, a local military group. They get the paperwork done, and yes, then they purchase it, and they have a well-oiled machine that does awesome, and we need to support it 1,000,000%. But they are not military vehicles. That's the difference. They are.
And neither of us are saying anything bad about NAFO.
Are you kidding me?
Love them. Great job.
I want to
Good
do
work.
a NAFO truck. No problem. I
Yeah, we're
support it.
actually waiting to
We
as
want to
another
finish
thing
this
to
one.
do something with that.
We're going to do a NAFO truck. We support it 1,000,000%. But these are not NAFO trucks, guys. These are armored medical evacuation vehicles that are military grade in use. We're talking full air conditioned systems for wounded soldier extractions, fully armored, bulletproof glass, gates up on the windows, gates all over all the external lighting, internal lighting, multiple power system, 24-volt system. These are the retrofitted 2A versions. We are also outfitting them with drone jammers, with full night vision capabilities where the drivers can drive in the night in pitch black, winches that they can save their own lives with. This is apples and oranges, and apples and oranges are both good, but these are completely different projects. So I hope that helps. Yeah, this is a great comment. NAFO trucks do not require a fleet of extra permits, no matter how built or kitted they are. That's a huge difference. Yeah, guys, I can't explain to you the volume of paperwork that had to be done for these. But it's
And
done.
we're all in favor of NAFO. It's just a different project.
Yeah, and we're going to get involved and do one. So 100%. I hope that helps everyone understand and realize we're all on the same team and doing different things. And, I can even tell you this. A lot of I see NAFO trucks everywhere on the front lines, and our COSEVAC medevacs will be there supporting guys that are driving the NAFO trucks for medical extraction. So it's golden. This is hand in glove, and going to be good. So thank you. Hope that helps. Let's go back here. That's now Poltava. Okay, here we go. Zhenya's getting involved now. It was a lot of reasons we lost our guys. Russia is a terrorist state. The other reasons as well had place: mistakes of commanders, lack of air defense systems, and mistakes of others. Sad. That's the deal. Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, we do not talk about too much as we did early in the war. Zhenya and I were just down there across the water from it, like you see there, kilometers from it. At the bottom, I have a power symbol, a warning symbol, and situation critical. There's two things that I want to show you here, and we'll get your thought on it, Professor Gertis. First of all, guys, let me explain to you about the Ukrainian power situation. It's critical. And when I say critical, it's critical. It's hanging on with a thread. The entire power grid throughout the nation of Ukraine is very unstable. Reports came out today that once winter gets here, best case scenario right now are 12 hours of blackouts per day for everybody. And if between now and winter, if one or two more critical stations are hit and damaged or destroyed, it could be days of blackouts. And guys, it gets cold here. It's very difficult here. It's September the 5th, and it's officially here, fall. It starts September the 1st. Leaves are already changing. It's still warm in the days, but getting a little cooler at night. And we need to pay attention. Now, that's the bottom half of that slide. The top half is, I want to get Professor Gertis's opinion on this. Today, or yesterday, International Atomic Energy Agency Chief Grossi visited the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. And inside Ukraine, they are disgusted by that meeting. I'm going to show you this. I will translate it. What I want you to see, it's only 6 or 7 seconds long. Grossi is walking up to the Russians
and hugging them,
who direct it. They're saying, "Здравствуйте, здравствуйте, hello, hello. Oh, so good to see you." Okay? This has Ukrainians boiling.
How are you? Very good to see you. Hello, how are you?
I mean, very good to see you. How are you doing? Hugging. What do you think about stuff like that when you see it?
So the UN is generally detached from reality in pretty much everything that they touch, right? They condemn things, say strong words, and don't do anything. They do something like that. They show up. Remember the UN trucks that you were talking about?
Yes.
That, wanted to cut to the front of the line and
Yeah.
park where they weren't supposed to, and they feel like it almost entitled. Like they don't. The UN doesn't care about Ukraine. Like let's be honest. They
No.
care about what the UN cares about, whatever exactly that is. I guess he thinks that he's doing some service by keeping good relations so that the power plant doesn't go down or something. I guess that's what he's thinking. Let's put the best face on it possible. But, you got to balance these things.
I kind of like salt of the red earth here. It's corruption. I guarantee you there's some corruption in there somewhere. And you got a bingo prof from Andrew Petrie. So bingo on that answer. So the reason for that is, world, you need to be aware that the electrical grid in Ukraine is very critical right now. So pay attention. It's not if you see missile strikes. It is when you see missile strikes. Pay attention if they are hitting electrical infrastructure, because we really can't take much more. And, my home is in America. And I know a lot of folks watching are from Europe. I know we have a lot of South Africans and Australians and Kiwis from New Zealand and Americans and Canadians and Tito in Honduras. I don't want to miss anybody. So wherever you're from, typically, unless you're a South African viewer, you have relatively stable power. You are shocked if you go into your home or your apartment and you flip your light on and nothing happens. You immediately run to your breaker box. The breaker must have kicked. You never think we don't have power. So for me, I can honestly say this is my 12th month of being here in Ukraine, running aid to the front since the beginning of the war. I have been very frustrated this time. In the past, like last winter when it was so bad, just months ago, the schedules were correct. If Ukraine said you're off 6 hours, you were off, and relatively it was on. So you could plan, you could charge your power banks, you can charge your echo flows, all of that. But in the region in which I live, it is extremely unstable. And even when we have power, it'll go on, off, on,
Do
off.
you know what the
on.
percentage is now?
I do not know what the percentage is.
I mean, it was below 50% of what they actually would have used it back in 2022 before the invasion, before the big strikes that just happened over the last few months. So they've got to be down to a third or something along those lines.
Oh, there's no question. If for me, there's no question in the 30 to 40% range, easy.
Yeah.
It's different this time. I don't know how to explain it other than I can tell you Ukraine is doing a good job.
It's getting critical.
It is. That's
Now,
why I put it
now
the
it's getting
situation
really
critical.
critical. So,
You know, Ukraine's doing a great job keeping the lights on the best they can. And I know it's unbelievable the job they're having to do, but it's pretty frustrating. Politically, Ukraine right now, for me, this is not the best of news, although I know it happens, and this is much more in your wheelhouse, Prof. But we basically had, I think, 10 key positions change over the last 24 to 48 hours. And I'm just going to be honest with you. This is Dmitry Kuleba, and I can't stand it. That's my personal opinion. I'm here inside Ukraine. I hate it that man had to resign because he was going to be fired. And I know I have people messaging me, well, this is why, this is why. No. I don't want to hear it because they're already talking about where he now will potentially be the NATO representative for Ukraine. And over the last 24 hours, everybody is saying, including Ukrainian government, well, he was unable to procure the Western weapons necessary, so we need to make an adjustment. Baloney. Baloney. The man did an amazing job. He was personable. He was a great spokesperson on a diplomatic foreign stage for Ukraine. And if he couldn't procure weapons, why are you sending him to NATO? Shame on you. That is a bad look for you, Kyiv. I hate it with a passion. And now this dude is going to be the foreign minister, Andriy Subika, who is from Yermak's group. I'm just telling you guys right now, I'm here in the Ukrainian uniform, ready to go pick up vehicles. This is ugly, very ugly. And in general, Ukrainians are not happy about it.
yeah. So my read is it's unfortunate that that happened with Kuleba. Shakeups are not unusual. That happens in government, so I'm not alarmed by that. But I think Zelensky's missing an opportunity, and that opportunity is he should be thinking toward a unity government rather than servant of the people faction. And if he could expand into a more unity government, he would have greater staying power over time. And but so he's missing an opportunity to do that.
Hi, Cheryl. I thought it was a dust up with Tuscan Poland. No, it had nothing to do with that. It's extremely political. I will not go into it right now because we support Ukraine 100%. And I know that President Zelensky and the government in Kyiv is under massive amounts of pressure because the war is critical, the infrastructure is critical, and they're fighting literally for their lives. I don't blame them for making changes, but my goodness, please make the right changes. Time will tell. Time will tell. Shakeups happen. The prof is here teaching us all. But
yeah, you hate to see a good guy go, but I mean, these kind of changes happen. It's.
I understand it. Dude, look at him. Sorry. I'm not judging. I'm just telling you.
I don't know that
this-
you can take anything from that.
Oh,
I mean,
I can.
honestly,
this
I mean,
man can communicate. He is personable. He has relationships with foreign leaders. This guy
believe you.
doesn't. It's
I believe you, but he's untested, so we don't know what to say yet.
Time.
You got to hold on.
I'm
In a month,
holding.
you might be able to tell me whatever is good or bad about him.
I'm holding.
Yeah.
I'm holding. But I stand with my Ukrainian brothers and sisters, not from the outside looking in, but from the inside looking in. I'm inside Ukraine.
Hey, I believe you.
Not
You might
happy.
be right.
Not
Give him a
happy.
chance.
Okay, fair enough. I agree. I agree to give him a chance. In their own words, this is where I want to close us out tonight. I've translated Prof, and I think this will be interesting for you to get your comment about. I have a clip from President Zelenskyy, and I have a clip from Vladimir Putin. And I want to play both of them. I want to be, let me get that, altruistic Viking. Andrei Subiga seems to be a good man, at least should have a chance. No question. No question about that. I'm just loyal to Kuleba. I really liked Kuleba. There's a lot of politics. Let me go back. There's a lot of politics behind this, guys. Unless you're inside Ukraine, you don't know the politics. So I'm trying to be kind.
I'm more worried about can he be effective than the politics behind it.
But
we don't know.
But Professor Gertis, this is not America. This is Ukraine.
Well, I understand, but what we need right now is the most effective thing that we can possibly get. And then we
what
can
you
worry about
need
the other
right
things.
now is an increase in the morale of Ukrainian people and Ukrainian soldiers.
Sure.
That's what you need. And
Sure.
this didn't help
If that's
that.
how you describe effectiveness, I can buy that.
Okay. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm wide open and give him a shot. I hope he blows it out of the water, and I hope in 30 days we come back and do a stream and say, okay, I was wrong. This guy's smoking it. So I stand corrected. But
When you say smoking it, you might want to be clarifying what you're saying.
yeah, doing a great job. Doing a great job. So we'll see. We'll see, and we'll be patient. The word I use here is tupenia. So patient. We'll see. And for sure, 100% stand behind Andriy Subika. Of course, he's now the foreign minister for Ukraine. It's not that we don't stand behind and support. It's just we really need this.
It's an important position, no doubt.
We
It's
need
gotta work.
unity to be growing.
And that's where
inside
Zelensky's
Ukraine.
missing an opportunity, in my estimation.
That's. Thank you for helping me state it clearly. Thank you, Prof. All right, here we go. In their own words, going to play you Zelenskyy first, get your response. Play Putin's, get your response. And then I'm going to show a graphic to destroy Vladimir Putin's statement. Here we go. It should be right there.
We don't need Russian land. I've always said our operations aim to restore our territorial integrity. We don't need their people or citizens. We only take soldiers prisoner to exchange for our own. I've always said we're ready for an all-for-all exchange. Let's get our troops back, take all your soldiers. We don't need them, and same goes for territory. We don't need their land. We don't want to bring our Ukrainian way of life there. I say this because I understand international law and respect for state sovereignty. Ukraine is a country that follows rules and laws. But today, we must take steps to be stronger. This operation strengthens our country. That's a fact. It doesn't mean we'll swap one territory for another, but our next moves, as I've said, are hard to fully disclose. Why? Because as I told you, what you've seen is just part of our plan.
Now, I will tell you right now, I love that.
Same interview this was today's, like last night's, today's, whatever it was, same interview. He said, look, we didn't tell Washington what the plan was because it would have
That's
leaked.
exactly right.
That's problematic.
What I appreciate about that, though, is here's what I know about Ukrainian people. They are the most creative. They can make anything out of nothing. And we're seeing that now in this war. And I think there was a lot there in what President Zelenskyy said. I really believe Ukraine has some other tricks, and I don't mean that in a very negative connotation, but other strategic moves up their sleeves because of the lack of supply. They're having to think outside of the box.
Yeah, it's necessity being the mother of invention, right?
It is necessity. I appreciate the way he communicates. I've supported Zelenskyy and continues to support Zelenskyy until victory. I can't imagine the pressure that man is under. He has done an amazing job. And even in regard to political shakeups, guys, don't get me wrong. I just like Kuleba, and for sure we'll give the new guy a shot, and I hope he does an amazing, amazing job for Ukraine. But Zelenskyy, the pressure he's under and having to communicate and do these things, Kursk, there are some other things that Ukraine has up its sleeves, so we shall see. Darren Corrigan leaks. Oh yes, sir. They had to stop sharing their military plans and make it really closed. Leaks everywhere. Absolutely.
Yeah, the Russians knew exactly what they were going to do, and it was a
100%.
slaughterhouse. It was terrible.
100%. Now, I want to go to Vova, and I want you to hear this and get your response.
When discussing these issues, we must first think of those enduring serious trials and suffering from these terrorist acts. The armed forces' sacred duty is to expel the enemy from these territories and protect our citizens. The whole country must do everything to support the people. Regarding the military aspect, I've already addressed this. The enemy aimed to make us nervous, scramble troops, and halt our offensive in key areas, especially in Donbass. Liberation remains our primary goal. Did it work? No, the enemy failed. Our forces have begun gradually pushing them out of border areas. Secondly, and most importantly, there's no resistance to our offensive. Instead, the enemy weakened key areas by moving large, well-trained units to border regions. Our troops have accelerated their advance. We've made significant territorial gains recently. Just yesterday, the Eastern Group captured a 7 by 5 kilometers area in one swift move. The Center Group is also making great progress in the Donetsk and Pokrovsk directions. Our gains are now measured in square kilometers, not meters. We're talking 4x5, 3x5, and so on. This is the second and equally important point. The enemy is suffering massive losses in both manpower and equipment. I won't list specifics now. The Defense Ministry provides this data, which I consider reliable as it's confirmed by multiple sources. This could lead to a collapse of their front lines in crucial areas and potentially render their entire armed forces incapable of fighting, which is precisely our goal. That's the overall assessment.
Did you catch that, Prof?
Which part?
The first goal was to liberate. 30 seconds in, this, and then, well, what is our goal is to completely dismantle their military. Completely. Opposite statement. Of course, he's talking out of his head completely. He's talking about how they're able just to swallow up land right now. And I'm telling you guys from being here, they have made some significant advances, but it's not the way he described. But the point being, and there was three things that I wanted to see or share for people. Number one, our goal was to liberate. Well, if that's what liberation looks like, that's evil. I try to share that liberation in video from the front. Secondly, if liberation looks like me sitting in the dark in central western Ukraine right now, okay, what liberation is that? Secondly, the variation of his goals. But thirdly, he called the Kursk incursion, invasion, terrorist activity.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have it both. You have to be consistent about something. You can't say that's terrorism, but what you're doing to Ukraine, that's just a special operation. I mean, they consistently do that kind of thing.
It
But
is.
that's not the problematic part. Like, can you imagine if how mentally draining it would be to have to lie all the time like that? Like, you
Oh,
know that it's not going well. You know that your guys are getting decimated, and then you have to continue to say, like, put on, like, you can say propaganda, but one of the things I appreciate about military and business is that they both deal with reality. In military, if you don't get it right, people can die, right? In business, you can go out of business. It's not like creative writing where you can just express yourself more and things will just go well. It doesn't work like that. And so, regardless of what he says, the reality is what the reality is on the ground. And he's talking about what he believes the military's figures because they've been verified. He
oh
doesn't
yeah,
believe the
yeah.
military's figures.
Well, let's get a couple comments here. Paul's right up your alley. Putin's one of the biggest liars in the history of liars. My cousin called him a ha-Satan for a very good reason. Canty Ludin. Canty is a big supporter of Ukraine, who's been here. Russian statements about others always sound like they really are talking about themselves to me. $2 super chat from Papa Dutch. Putin is a KGB freak of nature. Annie, Yuki Chick Wilkie, who did his eyebrows? That's very good. Altruistic Viking. Zelenskyy is wise to eat the aces up his sleeve. Speaking only makes another imaginary red line. That is great, Altruistic Viking. And I love your picture, your profile pic there of Zaluzhny. Papa Dutch, $5. If Zelenskyy had long hair, he would strongly resemble John Wick. And Armored Rabiat Hamster. Convoy Coffee, 129 Swedish crowns, and we will be buying coffee, I promise you. Is Rick driving? Yes, not from Lviv to Khmelnytsky, but when we actually take them and convoy them to the front lines next week, Rick will be driving. So now I want to, as we close out here, I want to validate one thing, and that is that the terrorist nation is not Ukraine invading Kursk. The terrorist nation is Russia with a disregard for human life. I shared the video yesterday morning about the family. His name is Yaroslav in Lviv. He lost his wife and 3 children. That story is everywhere, and maybe you guys know or do not know, but they were in the stairwell sheltering, and he decided to go back into the apartment to get some water, and it was at that moment that the stairwell was struck and his family perished, and he was not killed because he was in the apartment getting water for his family. I mean, it's a horrible story. And, you know, we need to remember people like that that are going through hell. There's no other word for it, going through hell. And to have a dictator, evil Vladimir Putin call Ukrainians terrorists is a pure sign of his evil and the evil of that regime. I want to share this with you. Maybe you know this graphic or you do not, Prof. I will explain it to everybody. Since the 24th of February 2022 until just, I think, yesterday, these graphics are. impact of objects by Russian missiles and UAVs. Orange is civilian objects, apartment buildings, homes, schools, hospitals, libraries, kindergartens, shopping malls. On the green, those are legitimate military targets. This is the data up to now. 30% of caliber missiles have hit civilian objects. 69.62 have hit military. Dagger missiles, these are the Kinjals. 81% striking civilian, 18% military. X-101s, 68% civilian, 31% military. The Onyx, 80% civilian, 19% military. The X-22s, 75% civilian, 24% military. Iskanders, 78.9 civilian.
That next
21.
one is something, isn't it?
Zircon, 100% civilian targets. And brother, it's basically unstoppable.
Yeah, and the world just sits there and yawns.
Look at
Like,
that.
How
At Greg Terry, can you post a link to that graphic in the chat? I cannot, but KK's GG, I will post it in my Discord. I think you're in there. This graphic is actually written in Ukrainian. I translated it. So I will happily, at the end of the stream, put it into Discord. If that doesn't work, just email me. I'll be happy to send it to you. The ports, 64.5 civilian, 35% military. Iskander K's, 76.9% civilian, 23% military. The Bals, the X-35s, 35%. 35% civilian, 64% military. That one's different. Others, random, 66 and 33. The X-25, 78 civilian, 21% military. The C-300, the S-300s, S-400s, 72% civilian, 27.2% military. In fact, I can tell you that S-300, S-400, that's what's destroyed Kirill's village. Now, UAVs, 21% civilian, 78% military, and then different Lancets and others. It's interesting. You can see here they're using the drones to go after military targets. I mean, literally, that's what it is. And most of the missiles, as you can see here, are going after civilian targets. So that's where we'll leave it. I wanted to share that graphic with you after Putin calling the Ukrainian incursion a terroristic regime. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So thank you. I will tell you this. Regardless, we fight and stand with Ukraine until victory. And to swing it back around to good news, they're getting closer by the minute. I'm dressed
Okay, I got
and ready to go.
I got a comment here that I want to
Please.
read, and you can't pop it up because it's in my feed here. This person, Katenberg, said, no, it's not, sorry. Riemann M said, I actually was surprised simple people from the USA actually cared that much that they helped us in this war. I thought we would fight alone. See all this help is kind of touching. Yeah. So while
Wow.
politicians can't seem to get it together, ordinary people really do care, and we are behind you.
You know, and I will tell you guys, and I was just checking over here on the chat myself. First of all, Blonde Bombsheller, if you would please make sure that we get KK's GG, that graphic. I think they're in our Discord. So just make sure I don't forget. I want to make sure I do what I said I was going to do. Guys, if it was not for the people of the world, like all of you watching this stream live or you're watching it later, Ukraine would be a completely different place. I cannot reiterate to you guys how many lives. If you have donated a penny or $1 million, I cannot stress to you how many lives you've been a part of saving. And it is through the goodness and graciousness and caring of humanity. And it's not about, although Prof and I are two Americans and we're based in the US, it's not about that. This is global. So many people from all around the world. And we say thank you. All I can try to
And who do we most commonly interact with, like with this channel, with other channels, like Rick the Ukrainian and Johnny Pierce from England? And it's not about where we're from. It's about
No.
trying to support Ukraine, and anyone who's involved in that, more the merrier. Let's work together.
Well, I'm coming to the opinion that the situation our world is in right now, the people of the world really need to stand together. And I mean, I love my country, and I know you do. And wherever you're from watching tonight, you love your country, but you love others as well. That's obvious, or you wouldn't be here. But I think it's so important that the governments of this world, whether it's mine in DC, yours in, not yours, Prof, but maybe you're from England tonight watching in London or wherever it may be, it's important that these governments see that there are people in this world. And that's what's the most important. It's not about some system you're trying to create to put people into. People are good by nature. People are caring. People want to help. And it's not about politics. It's not about belief system. It's about an innate moral clause where we all agree. And right now we're all agreeing on Ukraine, and we're standing for it. And for that, we say thank you. And I promise you, on the next run, you're going to see it. They'll probably drop a tear or two in your eye. Because when we get these armored vehicles to, I know where they're going, and we take those keys and we put it in those soldiers' hands, it's going to be the best feeling you've ever had. So make sure you don't miss it, because it's like Pete said, these things save lives. And guys, that's what we're trying to do. So thank you.
I don't know how to top that.
Sorry.
I'm not sure what to say now.
Finally,
Yeah.
I got him. You know, the bottom line is, I don't know how to better say it, because people know politically you and I have very similar viewpoints. We're from the same region of the country and all of this jazz. But man, we lay it down. We of course stand for what we believe in, but we lay it down. What's most important is stopping the stuff that separates us, find out what we can agree on, and bring people together. And if my country, your country, and everybody else's country was worried more about bringing people together than dividing them, the world would be a much better place. And that's a world I want to try to help create or be a part of making better. So that's it.
So if I'm going to be like one of my students, I would say, yeah, you know, he just took what I was going to say.
You need to stop. Super chat here from Rick. Thank you from the Netherlands, €11.99. And Papa Dutch, $100 super chat for Project Tatiana. Let me say something about that, and maybe we'll sign off with this, Prof. Pete loved you, Professor. I know you didn't know him like I did, but he loved you. And I'm there's no other way to say it. Pete was a loving human being, and he loved Prof. Gertis. And he had a dream. And the dream first was some armored medevac vehicles to save lives. That dream is being fulfilled right now. His goal was actually at the beginning 2. We're delivering 4. So, dream will be fulfilled. But additionally, right before Pete lost his life and laid it down for Ukraine and for the world, he had a dream called Project Tatiana and Project 22. 22 vehicles, 22 echo flows, 22 of everything. And he would call me and says, "Brother from another mother." I said, "What, Pete?" He goes, "I don't have any idea why I want to do 22, but that's the number in my heart, 22. So that's Project Tatiana. These armored vehicles are going to be delivered, and we are going to get behind, and we're going to finish that for Project Konstantin and smash it and fulfill Pete's final wish. And thank you, Papa Dutch, for that. That will be going to it. We're going to make it happen. Thank you, guys. So that's it.
Well, I normally close by saying thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine. And that's for all of you that are watching that have been involved in fundraisers or just getting yourself up to speed and knowing what's going on. And thank you.
Thank you. I want to throw this to you, Prof. Greg, could you or the professor do a video on the recent Tucker Carlson Holocaust denier controversy?
So I was watching that guy. And he, so I think we're talking about what happened yesterday, I guess it was, where he was interviewing this guy that had read some books and never really knew anything about Churchill, and but now he knows that Churchill caused the war because he wanted to fight and Hitler didn't. Hitler had just taken all of Europe. Honestly, before I came to work today, I was watching this because I don't have enough going on, right? And Hitler had taken all of Europe, and he was sending these peace messages out. He didn't want to fight, but Churchill did.
It's interesting.
But Churchill recognized that Hitler's not stopping. We better do something about this guy. But Tucker just sitting there incredulous. Really? So it was Churchill that, it was painful.
It is painful. So listen, Prof will definitely be the one to dive deep on that. And it's unbelievable. Listen, I'm going to say this in regard to Tucker and U.S. and, even the change of politics in Ukraine, which we talked about, the American elections. We're getting ready to see the most crazy couple of months we've probably any of us have ever witnessed in our lives. So just buckle up. Let's all stick together and stand together for what's right. Thank you. Make sure I get these. Blonde Bombsheller gifting 5 memberships. And I want to thank Blonde Bombsheller and all our other moderators. They do an amazing job, and it's getting stronger and better every day. Richard Bennett gifting 5 memberships. Cappy Blankfella gifting 10 memberships. Thank you for that. And we were throwing love to NAFO tonight, and we're going to get behind that even more. The Weasel, 3 quid. Thank you for that. Papa Dutch with 5. He said, I barely understand politics in the USA, and it's sometimes senseless entirely. I won't even ask what the politics are over there. That's good. Papa Dutch, 50 super chat. What's the next project? Let's go with the King Raccoon. Papa Dutch, get ready, buddy. It's going to be Project Konstantin, and I tell you what, we're going to get a NAFO truck done too as well. So thank you guys all for being here tonight. We'll get everything to where it goes. Thanks to the mods. Thank you, Prof, for you, all of your team. And guys, getting ready to load up and head to the border.
That's awesome.
It is. And you guys will see it. Oh, you know what I was thinking, Professor? I didn't tell Zhenya this yet.
I will in a moment.
I didn't tell Zhenya this yet. But when we are here in Western Ukraine, we have more logistical freedom because we're not so close to the front line. So, you know, we have cameras. I have a lot of gear I travel with to make all these videos on the front lines, multiple cameras and lights and all that. But we also have a drone. And early in the war, we could use it. But as the war went on, it became much more dangerous to use it, as it'll get you killed. But here in our home base, I'm pretty sure I can find a farm or somewhere. And I even want to get some drone footage of this convoy moving and just I want the world to, it's rough to say, but enjoy this. We've worked really hard. Enjoy the joy of giving, but I want you to see what you're giving. So we're going to try to get some drone footage and tours of the vehicles and everything. So just stay tuned. Make sure you've got the subscriptions on, because it'll be on my channel and, of course, Prof's and others as well. So thank you. You said your statement. Well, I'll say mine.
I already said mine, so
you
I'm
did,
going to go to
but
Ukrainian.
You've got to. Oh, you want to do that one?
I already
we'll
said
do
it.
that one. Okay. You want?
I just said it again.
Okay.
You're slow on this.
Man, I'm terrible.
Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава.
Слава Україні!